Hi, I'm Monica from Numberly. I wanted to talk you through a concept that can be quite confusing for a lot of founders, which is churn rate and why the churn rate that they're expecting to see may not necessarily be the rate that they do see when they're looking backwards. And it's basically due to kind of a mathematical difference, and I'm going to walk you through it right now. So let's say, for example, we have this number of new customers that are joining us in January of 2024. We have a B2B SaaS platform, and the contract period is 12 months. So meaning we don't actually expect to lose anyone or have any of our customers churn for that 12-month period or 1 year. And we expect that at the end of that year, we'll lose 10% of our customers. Okay, so our annual churn rate is 10%. So the way that works is if we look at it on a month-by-month basis, I've got 100 customers joining in January. They're signing up for a 12-month license, and that gives me 100 active customers as of that month. And because my churn rate is not actually being calculated or applied until 12 months later for this particular cohort of customers who join us in January, you can see that my churn, the number of licenses churning for the whole year is basically zero. So at the end of the year, my churn rate is going to be zero. It's the sum of all of the individual churn rates across the year. Makes sense, right? I have a 12-month contract. Therefore, for that first year, up until the end of the contract, I don't expect to lose any customers. So therefore, easy, my churn rate is zero, even though I'm expecting to lose 10% at the end of the 12-month period. So starting in January 2025, that's when the churn rate begins to kick in. I start losing 10% of those who joined 12 months prior. So in January, I'm losing 10 of those who joined in January 2024. So it's 10 out of the 100, or 10%, the same rate that I entered as my annual churn rate. And if I follow that logic for every month, I get basically 10 out of the joiners in February, and so on, 10 out of the joiners in March, which is again the 10% applied to that cohort who joined us 12 months ago. And if I continue that logic out through the rest of the year, it gives me basically I'm losing all of these customers across the year. And my total then of the ones that I lose is about 119 customers. Now, what's interesting is that if I calculate my churn rate, and I could either do it one of two ways. I can either take my total churn licenses over the ones that I've got remaining active as of the end of December, or I could actually do individual calculations every month and add them up. Either way, it's not going to be the same as the 10%, and that's because the calculation of churn is being applied to the original active customers I had last year who have been on the platform for 12 months, and then a percentage of them, 10% in this particular case, are churning. However, keep in mind that in that interim period, throughout all of these months of 2024, I've been gaining new customers. And I've also been gaining new customers in 2025 as my churn rate starts to kick in for those who joined in 2024. So what that means is my churn rate, looking backwards, is always going to be lower than my leaving rate that I'm anticipating from my customers, because as my business is growing, I'm onboarding new customers. As some of the ones I onboarded last year are starting to churn, and therefore my churn rate looking backwards is going to be calculated on a much larger active customer base. So it's 10% against the 100 that joined in January of 2024. But because I gained new customers all the way along, it's now actually, I've lost about 119 customers in total on an active base of about 3,400. So this is the reason that you may think your churn rate is 10%, but the number that you will see in your model is actually quite lower. And this is a good thing, because as long as your business is growing, that is going to be the case. So you want to see that. You want to be adding more customers, obviously, than you're losing. I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, please go to the chatbot at numbly.io. Thanks very much.